Welcome to the Burf and Greavesie, lifting the bonnet of fights that are coming up that actually mean something. Thank you our sponsors, J.M. Clark, plant hire you can trust. I don't have to pray, I've got an oracle in front of me, Frank Greaves, the oracle of boxing. If you don't know what's going to happen, no one knows. So we're going to talk about the big fights that are coming up. And we're going to start, I think we start with the big boys. We're going to start with Wardley versus Parker. Now this is a very, very interesting fight. We've got a lad, you know, he's basically come up from the white collar ranks, and you know, we know a lot about white collar boxing. We've seen a lot of it over the years, haven't we? And we do know that some of those boys are top quality. Yep. It's a very strange area of boxing, isn't it? White collar. Yep. And then obviously you got Joe Parker, celebrated amateur, fantastic professional career. Yep. And these two boys have somehow, in the universe, found a way to collide in a very, very important bout. But I don't know what's going to happen. Frank, what's your opinion?
Well, there's a feeling at the moment that Parker's on this unbelievable run. I think his promoter recently said he's on the best run in heavyweight history, which is a joke.
That's underselling it.
Just a little bit, just a little bit. But no, mate, I'm actually thinking it's a lot closer than people thinking that it is. I think Wardley is a very, very, very live underdog. He is the underdog, clearly. But there's this impression that Parker's on this unbelievable run of form. And actually, when you scratch below the surface, I really don't think he is. He's beaten Wilder, who's proven to be a complete busted flush since the Fury defeats. He's really not looked great. I think he looks shot to pieces. His confidence is gone.
Confidence is gone, that's right.
He beat Piccoli last time out, who was obviously 3 or 4 stone overweight and took the job on 5 minutes' notice.
Correct, yeah.
Off the back of 24 hours on a plane.
So, but the form guide really, when it comes to Parker, when it comes to his resistance, then really is Zhang, isn't it?
It's Zhang. And Zhang, obviously after the Parker fight, then goes and gets beat by Caballero, gets stopped. He drops Parker twice. You know, mate, I'm not utterly convinced. And the biggest thing for me, the biggest worry for me for Parker, and I know Parker on a personal level, he's a lovely guy and he is a good fighter. Yeah. I'm not knocking him at all. He's a very good fighter, and I love his attitude and the fact that he's taking these fights, because he probably don't need to take this fight right now. He can sit there. He's number one. He's mandatory for Usyk. He can just sit there and wait. But he's taking fights. So I applaud that. Absolutely superb. But between his last fight and the one before, he's put on 20 pounds of muscle. He's bulked up massively. Now, he hasn't done any rounds against Piccoli last time. He hasn't done any time. And one thing that Wardley is tough. He's an absolute dog. We saw that in his last fight.
And he's super fit.
He's super fit.
He's ridiculously fit.
You know, he's mobile. How's Parker going to be once he gets over the first 4 or 5 rounds carrying that extra weight? There's this belief, I think, that maybe he needed to put on that weight after the Zhang fight, be a bit more robust. Yeah. But putting on that amount of weight that late into his career... What you're saying is that really going to make him a better athlete at this time? I really don't think it does.
Against the guy who's... No. The only thing I would question, I mean, when I look at Wardley, and obviously the last fight against the Kiwi kid, when he stops him in... Was it the 11th round he stops him with a counter right hand? Yeah. That kid, quality piece, wasn't it? And he really, really struggled. Did very well in the first round, and then was out the game for the next 9 rounds and pulls it out the hat. Yep. And I was wondering, you know, have we really reached the end of his technical ability? And against someone like Parker, we'll be able to slow him down a little bit, we'll give him some movement, even if he has put the extra weight on. Going to give him a lot of problems, isn't it?
Oh, mate, I completely agree. I think it does. And I think Parker goes into the fight, you know, pretty much as the overwhelming favourite. But, as I say, for me, there's just this little underlying current that he's not on the run of form that everyone thinks that he is, and I think the fight is closer than a lot of people think it is.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting thing, isn't it? We get these guys like your Zangs, like your Wilders, and because of all the money that's come into heavyweight boxing at that end of it, they're kind of fighting amongst each other, and you think to yourself, well, ultimately, are they really just stringing it out?
Yep. Yeah.
Because they're a little bit, all of them, including Parker, a little bit over the hill.
Yeah. Again, I can't disagree with that. I mean, you know, like, the heavyweight division's been a little bit congested, obviously, because we've had the 2 Usyk Fury fights, Usyk Joshua. No one else has really got a look in. So as I say, you've got to give Parker the credit that he deserves for taking these fights. He's already said if he comes through this, he'll happily fight Italma next, rather than sitting there and waiting for Usyk. So fair play to him. But to say, I think it's a lot closer than people think it is. I still favour Parker, but I think he's going to be very rocky in a few moments. I think Wardley's going to come out of it with a massive amount of credit. And I'd say probably, if I had to pick it, I'd probably say Parker on points.
Do you know something, mate? There's an echo in it. I would echo that. This fight to me has got Parker on points written all over it, and it's exactly your scenario. Wardley comes out of it with a lot of credit. Parker, a couple of shaky moments before levelling the ship out and getting home, getting into harbour.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Look for that. Parker on points. You've heard it from the Oracle.
154.
Welcome to Tech Tuts. That's technical tutorials in 3 minutes or less.
On this week's Tech Tuts, we're going to be talking to Luca Bazooka. Luca's going to take us through what he feels is very good technique, something that he uses in sparring on a regular basis, takes into fights. He's going to talk us through how he does it, and we're going to demonstrate it in under a round. Let's go, Luca. So what are we talking about doing? What shots are we talking about setting up today?
So we're talking about setting up the left to the body, which is really a crippling shot when you land it right on the liver. You've got to set it up with shots beforehand to preoccupy your opponent, because obviously they're not just going to let you land the shot. And that's what we're going to be talking through today. Okay, so how would you go about that? So we're opposing each other in the ring. Firstly, we're at long range, right? The green zone. Yeah. I'm going to be trying to preoccupy his front hand, right? To stop him from throwing the jab at me. Allowing me to set up my shot. So I'm going to preoccupy his front hand, tap it a bit, tease him even. Right? Tap, and then I'm going to close it down with my back foot turned, like a sprinter start. Touch, step, preoccupy his hand. I'm then going to rotate onto my toe. Weight comes onto my front foot, hips come through, lift his head up with the uppercut, which also lifts up his arms, opening up this shot to the body. I'm then loaded onto my front foot, rotated, and I'm going to let it rip, and he's going to feel it. Bang!
Nice.
And you're going to hear his air go.
So let's have a little look at that on the pads quickly. So we're just going to touch the front hand, that's right, touch the front hand, step in with the uppercut, boom, and then down to the body, Okay, let's do that again. Boop, 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 boop. Nice. And again, one more time. Boop, come in, boop, boop. Nice. Let's demonstrate it again without the pads now. So we're touching him, we're having a look. What we doing, Luke? What we doing? Touching.
Step, close him, bang.
Bang, there it is. Fight ending shot. Technical tutorials in under a round. Thanks, Luca.
My pleasure.
Well done.
And welcome back. And once again, a big thank you to our sponsor, J.M. Clark, plant hire you can trust. Now, there's a very interesting heavyweight fight that you are actually, in a strange way, a little bit connected to. TKV, box allowed you to train in David Adelaide. And that was a controversial fight. We won't go into the controversy of that fight. But TKV showed well on that night, I thought. He's not a bad... He's one of them ones. I'm not going to lie about it. He doesn't look like he's in the best of shape, the lad, does he? Let's be perfectly honest. But he can box a bit.
He definitely can. Listen, Jamie was a good amateur. He was, I'm pretty sure he was in the top 10 in the world as an amateur boxer.
Do you think he would be improved if he focused on his condition a little bit? I mean, I'm sure he's one of them lads who say, I'm much fitter than I look. But ultimately, I always think to myself, well,
Well, he did lose a fair bit of weight going into the Adelaide fight. He was a fair bit lighter going into the Adelaide fight, and I think that would suit him better.
You wouldn't say he's a sort of muscular bodybuilder, though?
No. I mean, to be fair, a lot of heavyweight boxers, a lot of them are carrying weight that they don't really need to carry.
I would say that's true. That's the point I'm trying to say.
Effectively.
It's so power orientated, isn't it?
Would he be a better athlete if he was a bit lighter? Yes. Now, obviously, depends on how you take that weight off, but ultimately, he could be in slightly better. I wouldn't say better shape, but he could be in better condition in terms of his body composition. Could be better. But I mean, as I say, look, I know Jamie fairly well from sparring him with Adelaide on a regular basis. He was one of those regular sparring partners, so I've seen him up close. Jamie's a very, very technically sound fighter. Does everything sort of pretty well. Nice. I don't think he's a massive banger. He's not super heavy-handed. So I don't see his kind of Wardley Fraser Clark 2 ending happening. And I think that's where, unfortunately for Jamie, I think that's where he comes unstuck a little bit in this fight. I think Fraser Clark's probably that little bit better on a technical level. Probably a better jab, naturally a bigger man. Again, I don't think Fraser's particularly heavy-handed. But again, I think he just probably outworks Jamie a little bit.
So what was your take on Fraser Clark in the last, because obviously he got demolished by Wardley in that horrendous one-round KO.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people thought, I think a lot of people really like Fraser Clark.
Yeah.
A lot of people saying, I hope he knocks it on the head, to be honest. And then obviously he had the fight against Teddy where he looked very, very good actually, against a guy who had a good rep.
Yeah.
What's your take on where Fraser Clark is in his career now?
I mean, listen, obviously Fraser, ex-Olympian, you know, turned pro in a blaze of glory. Didn't have that many fights before he took the Wardley fight, obviously because of his age. He hasn't got time to stick around. But ultimately, I mean, you know, if he wins this fight, he's British champion, and then you're only a fight or two away from something big, as we've seen with Fabio Wardley. Yeah. You know, he's beat Adelaide for the British title, defended it against Fraser Clark, and now he's effectively boxing for the #2 position in world boxing. You know, that's casting Tyson Fury aside for the minute because we don't know whether he's going to box on or not. But ultimately, he's a fight or two away from big money and big opportunity. So, listen, it's all on the line for both of them. So,
well, let me ask you this then. How would Jamie TKV win this fight? If he's going to win this fight, you think he's got to take him the full distance and outwork him, which comes back to that condition issue again? Yeah.
Well, as I say, I don't think he's in bad condition. I think he's always been pretty fit. He's just one of those guys. He's just, you know, dietary, whatever it is, he's just not got the body beautiful, as it were.
No, I know what you're saying, right? But take the fight he had against David, right?
Yep.
Now, obviously, you know, you can make an argument that David shouldn't have done this, he should have done that, and it was this or it was that. But ultimately, to me, that was a breakdown in his concentration.
Yep.
I'm talking about TKV.
Yeah.
And when lads start losing concentration, that tells me they're tired.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, ultimately, I think, again, without getting into the real nitty-gritty of it, you could argue that it was a break in concentration. You could argue that it was down to the ref and Adelaide shouldn't have punched on the break.
The ref wasn't too good, I agree with that, yes.
So again, I think there's a lots of ifs and buts and maybes and a lot of supposition going on with that kind of thing. So I can only base it on what I've seen in the gym, and he's always been coming on when we're getting towards the end of spars. You know, never really one who's looking to hold or do anything else. So, you know, I don't think there's any issues there at all, to be honest. I think he's a consummate professional. He was a lot heavier as an amateur, and you get away with that.
Jamie TKV, I'm not saying you're not a consummate professional. What I'm saying is you could be even better. That's what I'm trying to say.
Fair enough.
In a roundabout way.
Fair enough.
And so if he's going to do it, he's going to do it on points. So Fraser Clark, you think points as well?
I think points
as well. Does he outwork him?
Yeah, I think Fraser's probably got the more cultured jab.
So he's got 12 rounds written all over it. He's got 12 rounds written all over it for me.
I don't see a stoppage either way. I mean, the only unknown really is how much that heavy-duty knockout took out of Fraser Clark. That is unknown, and that can at that stage of your career. You know, it's kind of different. When you're a young lad, it bounces off you a little bit better. But when you're at that stage of your career, you're in your mid to late 30s.
What is he, 36 or 37?
I think 36, 37.
Yeah.
A heavy knockout like that can mentally affect you.
Yeah, and it was horrendous.
It was, yeah.
So, okay, the Oracle, I'm going to ask you then. Let's get straight to it. Fraser Clark wins on points. Jamie TKV wins on points. Who wins this fight on points if it's going to points?
Fraser Clark for me. Fraser Clark.
Wide?
No, I think it'll be like 116, 112. I think Jamie will have his moments. Jamie, like I said, was a good amateur. He's technically sound. He's got a decent jab. He's got a good training team around him. They're in a great camp. They'll be very well prepared over there. I know, you know, how diligent they are in their preparation. So I see it being quite tight. 116, 112. 115, 113, something like that. I see it being reasonably close. I think it'd be a decent enough
competitive
fight.
but clear.
Yeah.
Fair play. All right then. Thank you to our sponsor, J.M. Clark, plant hire you can trust, and thank you for watching the Burf and Greavesie Show. Now, obviously, we're not telling you to go away and bet on our tips, but what we would suggest is you have a little look and think about it. What we say, assess it for yourself and take a view. Frank, very much for your time.
Welcome, mate.
And thank you for watching.